Talk and Shop Network makes no apologies for what you're about to hear. The host might, though. It's the $9 Podcast with Drewski. Because moderating for Pro Wrestling's Good Brothers wasn't enough work. Talking wrestling and more. Weekly on all major podcast networks.
And it's another week for the $9 Podcast. Exclusive from production of the Talk Shop Network. I am Drewski. I am the moderator of the Talk and Shop Patreon, known affectionately as the Falcon's Nest. And it's another week of half-formed takes about the wrestling industry. This business that we love so much. And yeah, it's never a dull moment in the wrestling world. It's like just when you think, okay, oh yeah, it seems quiet this week. Hardly anything going on. And things can change in like a 24-hour period. To wit, I have to lead off by talking about what happened about 24 hours ago, give or take. WWE Network, WWE, has decided to take over the Sirius Busted Open channel and rebrand it as WWE Radio, basically to, for want of a better term, like monopolize the narrative about in terms of wrestling discourse and wrestling opinions and what have you. It's like all their branded podcasts, like what do you want to talk about, and Stephanie's podcast and Taker's podcast are all going to end up as part of this. On the surface, it sounds great and everything, but there's been a lot of talk and a lot of reaction about the state-run media as a result of this announcement earlier today. And the fears that certain other promotions will not get a fair shake, will never get a fair shake anymore on said podcast, on said network. As a result, there was before this announcement, like Busted Open, their coverage was basically, it's pretty much like 75-80% WWE, 20% begrudgingly AEW and some of the other on TNA. Didn't really focus so much on like the promotions in Mexico and Japan. But now, now with the rebranding, it's basically the mask has come off, and it seems that it's going to be, another way for WWE to shape the narrative about how they're perceived in the industry. The WWE Network, they always say like history is written by the winners, and for right or wrong, it's basically another. It's sort of, you can say it's an example of this, right? They think as a result of like the Monday Night Wars way back when, it's like they WWE's made a point of like astroturfing a lot of stuff, about those times, about controlling the narrative, like shaping viewpoints as to what actually happened, conveniently omitting some things, and that other podcasts have picked up on, and that more learned professionals, quote unquote professionals in that cover the industry for a living have receipts for. And the funny thing about this announcement is that as about a month, for the past month and a half or so, Sirius Radio had been, it had been like in preliminary talks with Talking Shop and Machine Gun and Gallows about how gauging their interest on when they want to bring the whole network, Talking Shop network, over to Sirius. And somewhere halfway during those talks, it basically things abruptly ceased, and Machine Gun came out like a couple of days ago and basically said, I talked about this and mentioned that there was like political things going on behind the scenes, and lo and behold, we have the announcement from earlier today. The funny thing was another funny thing is Jim Ross, like a couple hours before this was even announced, basically was on his podcast with Conrad Thompson and was bemoaning the state of wrestling journalism in terms of and wrestling podcasts in terms of coverage, where it's like where they called out, Busted Open by name, basically called him like a glorified, pretty much an infomercial for WWE. Whether or not he had insider information about this actually coming out, that's something that can be explored on a later date. But these things tend to go in cycles and stuff. I remember when the WWE had like the WWE Universe, their their website with dedicated message boards and stuff. They actually made, because Shane McMahon was in charge of that, and of any of the McMahons, he was actually one trying to foster a whole world, the idea that it was like the whole worldwide thing of wrestling. It's like there would actually be dedicated message boards for like New Japan, for All Japan, for Mexico, for AAA, for CMLL. This is back way, this was decades ago, and as well as like a dedicated board for like UFC. And that worked for like about a year or two, and then Vince changed his mind, and those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. And Vince tried to control the narrative there, and now TKO is still going from the playbook of Vince, and basically control the narrative, what have you. And it's kind of hard to control the narrative when you have there's like so many wrestling podcasts that are not under like the WWE, purview, that can cover, they can more than like pick up the slack, but they don't have the range. They don't have the actual platform that WWE now has with Sirius, with the coverage. YouTube, YouTube, arguably has more coverage, but it's just a matter of like getting it out there and let people know. And I would implore people to, if they're dissatisfied, to seek out these other podcasts. Like you look up, there'll be Google like the top 100 wrestling podcasts and go down the list. Go down the list and check one out and see if it aligns with what you want to listen to, and go from there. So you don't have to be beholden to WWE Network or a WWE viewpoint. If you want like a whole well-rounded viewpoint, there are podcasts out there that will that cover more than just WWE. And I'm sure, you know, there's going to be backlash. There's already backlash about it, and it could, you know, it could get worse. And and there's, you know, the funny thing is, AEW has plans for their own podcast network. That's going to be part of the My AEW app. They haven't really announced any podcasts yet. So, if much like the promotions that have joined the My AEW app to as a platform for to showcase their promotions, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of these podcasts end up on the My AEW app if it's the same type of deal. We'll see within like about the next 6 months to a year, because, you know, these things are fluid, and, you know, the podcast world is a lot more fragmented than even the television networks, because there are many hosting, you know, sites. Some, you know, more successful than others. It's you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, does that mean that Talking Shop might be, the whole Talking Shop network might end up eventually on the My AEW app? Who's to say? Who's to say? I'm sure, you know, in a perfect world that would happen, but, you know, there comes a point where it's like, how many podcasts do you want? You know, you want a certain number of podcasts, you want all the podcasts, and, you know, so, you want like consistency and you want knowledgeable, reputable, you know, podcasts that you can, like, you know, best represent, like, you know, that can best introduce people to, like, those certain promotions, and, you know, that don't really get that much coverage. It's like, you know, stuff like, you know, DDT, and, you know, DDT, Choco Pro, Baka Gaijin, and All Japan. You can't really afford to hope that you keep going viral for a living on the X with like certain matches and stuff, and hope that people hope people come back for more. The big cause celebre from like last week or so, there was a match in Stardom that no, it was actually TJPW. My bad. Where Willow Nightingale was supposed to face Mizuki, but her plane got delayed, so they had to make a last-minute pivot and call in one Chris Brooks to be a substitute, and and it turned out way better than anyone would have expected. The thing about Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks has made made a niche out of intergender wrestling in Japan. He works, working at DDT, does commentary for TJPW. He has his own promotion, Baka Gaijin, and he works for Choco Pro, and past couple of years he's had like amazing matches with Joshi. The whole dynamic, because with him, and him being like 6'5" and facing like Mesa Ruga, who's like 4'10", so the visual alone is amazing, but he makes it work. Somehow that giraffe makes it work, and it's good that he's getting like the attention in the West for it. Because will it lead to like more appearances in the West? Doubtful. he's made no secret of he's not really much of a fan of Western wrestling. And he's built his own little thing in Japan, and he's scrambling. He's not scrambling. He's doing pretty good for himself, and that's good to see. And as of 48 hours, about 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago, the free agent scramble has started. It's like all the people that were let go by WWE in the past about 90 days ago. Their 90-day non-compete is up, which makes for prime fodder for podcasts such as this, which is basically, everybody put on the fantasy booking hats, and it's like following baseball and football and basketball free agency. It's like, okay, you start speculating, where are they going? What place would be a best fit for them? Some of them are obvious, like New Day doesn't come up for another week or so, and you have to be blind to figure out where they're going to be. And Motor City Machine Guns, same. Certain ones, it's a case by case. It's like reputations. It's like, do they fit on in a roster as is? Are they willing to do, willing to be professional? Willing to do what they're asked. It's like, do they want to work a situation where it's like they don't want to go full time anymore? Do they want a situation where they want work occasionally and then it's still work the indies? It's going to make for next 2 months or so. It will make for interesting shuffling of cards, so to speak. It's like some rosters are going to benefit big time. Some ones that you wouldn't expect. I would expect a TNA, an MLW to benefit highly from some of these free agents that are out there. But then again, it's all a matter of timing, all a matter of is it a right fit or not? Again, we shall see. And going to Dynamite again, the blow-off show for the Redemption pay-per-view coming up, and building the story between the last temptation of Bruv, basically. Mox and Kenny Omega fighting for Ospreay's soul, coming up to Redemption. It's like, trying to put a seed of doubt into how that match is going to end. What will Ospreay be willing to do to get that title in his home country? What will be the aftermath? What has Mox been planning all this time? It's like, he's like, you see the wheels turning with him, and you have potential like triple threat match between Takeshita versus Kyle Fletcher versus Okada, which will be incredible, because right now Kyle Fletcher can do no wrong. So of the young guys, the next generation that they have coming, the AEW has coming up. It's like between him, Bandito, and Kevin Knight. They have an army of killers coming, and it's going to make for some interesting decisions down the line in like about a year or two. Yeah, some very interesting decisions. Because the main event scene is extremely crowded, which is a great problem to have. It's like the sort of situations where, like, TK can pick anyone out of about 20 people on the roster right now, make them champ, and it would be, no one would really complain about it because the talent level is so insane. It's like it's just a matter of plugging people in. And I know that the Young Bucks have a tag team thing coming. You know the New Day is coming. Edge and Christian have the belts. Something's going to give. The rumors have been going on for months about a TLC. But do you want New Day's first match to be a TLC match? And do you debut them cold? It's again a fun problem to have. It's like, there are several ways you can go about it. It's like, does the New Day get involved in the finale, the Kenny match with Ospreay? Does it lead to like the Elite versus the New Day? It's like All Out. Don't know yet. And again, going back to the free agency thing, it's like the whole women's side with like Tekla versus Stardom. Yeah, with one pirate princess, Kairi Sane, or Kairi Hojo, free and clear and making cryptic hints already. Could there be Kairi versus Tekla incoming for the title? If not all in, if not all in, maybe all out. Plus you have all these other rumored free agents to be. And you got people like Samoa Joe on the sidelines right now, doing filming television. He should be back soon. Again, an embarrassment of riches. And it's like there's so many, and plus MJF and Hangman are in the background, and Swerve. It's amazing that they have a build up like this for All In, and major players like that aren't even on the card yet, right? And again, I keep harping on how it's a good problem to have, and it is it's a very good problem to have. In terms of the in the world of Good Brothers, one Luke Gallows happened to be spotted at the latest Dynamite Collision taping, ostensibly to hang out with the Bucks, because BC is for life, and already people are already speculating that the boys are going to come back. Come back and actually be signed to AEW. And it's like, hold your horses. They're having too much fun being freelance hoots. Especially this weekend. This weekend they're sort of they're sort of helping out the next generation of Bullet Club. At least that's what they're calling themselves. It's like the team of C.J. Gallows, who's Luke's son, and Avery Styles, son of Uncle Alan, aka AJ Styles, because they're a tag team. They're a tag team now, officially. They've only had like a handful of matches, but they're already teaming together. And from what I've seen of Avery, it's like watching AJ from NWA Wildside days. A lot of similar moves. A lot of similar athleticism, but again, still they both have like a handful of matches under the belt, and it's good. It's good that the boys are going to be. They're doing 8-mans this weekend in a couple of independents in Georgia. It's like tonight and tomorrow night, and then on Sunday it's going to be Good Brothers against CJ and Avery, head to head, which will be very, very interesting. Especially if you're a longtime Bullet Club fan, it's like it's fun as hell to see. Knowing, especially if you're a longtime Hoot like me, who can remember when. Who can remember when CJ was his nickname was Brush Boy, and you would help Gallows run the gimmick tables while he was like 5 or 6. You can learn the carny ways early. If there's one thing about CJ, he's got the carny blood in him. He's got the gift of gab like his dad. But unlike his dad, he likes to go to the top rope a bit. CJ's a sneaky big. He's not 6'8" like his dad, but he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's sneaky looking. He's sneaky tall, sneaky big, and it seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's like he's talked up. CJ's talked about on his podcast. It's part of the network, the Talking Shop Network. Taking more cues from like the old school, like the Flairs and the Flairs and Dusties, and like learning the psychology of stuff instead of like high spot like the current generations. And that's good. That's a good foundation to have. It's like because that way you can as long as you're fundamentally sound, you'll have a long career. It's going to be interesting to watch both their careers, Avery and CJ's careers advance going forward. Because Machine Gun's oldest, Caden, is just turned 16, and there's been times in the past where it's like they were interested in getting into the business like their dad, but as kids do, it's like their taste, they could change their mind, and so. It'll be interesting to see if any of Machine Gun's kids actually get involved in the future in this as well, because they know their fathers know the pitfalls of like everything. They know how to politic, to the consternation of a lot of IWC. The boys know how to politic, and that's only going to help to serve them well going forward as well. I'm sure. I'm sure that if they make WWE will probably be calling in like about a year or two, just because of the name recognition. And I don't know if that would be a good thing or a bad thing, actually. Because it could be a whole different, whole different landscape in about 2 years in WWE. Because the way the turnover's been, and a lot of the old guard is getting phased out, and they could totally change direction in a couple of years. It's like they've changed the way they recruit for their performance center more than once over the years. One time it was like, we're all going to take guys that are like 6'3" and under 25 years old. Another time's like just athletes. And then another time's basically, we need indie guys, and it's like it's never consistent. It's just again, it's like things can change in a heartbeat, right? You know what? You want to hope for the best going forward for the Hoots, for those kids. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because it's nap time for this old man. Go to oldglory.com. Use the promo code Drewski. Get 15% off your purchase. Your total purchase. And this show, episode 51 altogether. It's episode 11, for the masses. Is available worldwide on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. Support me. You can always use extra pizza money. It's like $9podcast.dashery.com for merch. Email me at $9podcast@yahoo.com. Patreon for the Talking Shop is patreon.com/Talking Shop. And YouTube channel for the commercial-free versions of all these episodes, where this will be, like I said, I got 51 of these now. It's at youtube.com/$9 podcast. And again, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to the $9 Podcast. Support the show by going to the $9 Podcast or going to patreon.com/Talkin' Shop to dive headlong into the insanity. See you next week.